So, needless to say, you can do the math and say what the truth of this situation is. Just because everybody's doing it and everybody says it's okay and everybody's participating, in it and allowing this kind of stuff to go on and be done to me and my son doesn't make it legal. It's not legal. It's terrible, terrible violations of civil rights is what it is. Terrible abuses of authority, outrageous government conduct, criminal behavior, criminal civil rights violations, stalking, falsifying evidence, suborning perjury, telling somebody to follow me and my son around and know that when we get to the library to wait for us to approach the circle drive where I'm going to drop my son off and immediately put a phone to your ear and listen to my message or talk to me or let me put the phone there so it'll sound like you're talking to that individual and walking Jacob into the library and supervising him. You're telling somebody to do that, okay? That is suborning perjury. I've got these people on film doing it. Whoever's on the other end of the line that's listening to it and documenting it and saying that a warrant has been served, that my son and I were informed, well, you can watch the video, hon. Nobody said a word to us. There's just somebody standing there we didn't know with a cell phone behaving in a suspicious fashion. Okay? That's not delivering a search warrant or informing somebody of monitoring an opportunity to participate or testify. You actually have to tell somebody those things, and you tell them, you don't tell total strangers that you placed outside a door. The only reason you would place somebody outside a door that they don't know and have never met and have them spy to see when that person arrives at the library and when they're going to walk in and just stand there right by the door where they're going to go in and walk in and snap a phone up to there as soon as they start to approach the door is to suborn perjury. You are telling somebody to behave in a predatory fashion, and because of that behavior, that creates suspicion of me and my son as though we've done something wrong. Okay? That's slander and defamation right there. That's stalking. That's predatory behavior. It's intimidation. And if you're telling somebody to do that, or you're allowing somebody to do that, you are suborning perjury. That's it. It's very simple. It's not because of anything I'm doing. I've asked these people what they're doing. What are you doing? What's going on here? I've said those words. I've told that security guard in there that I do not consent to any type of searches, surveillance, or monitoring of me and my son. I told him that. I don't have to say it over and over again every day. I've said it once, and I had it on video. And when that video saved, it wouldn't play. And my 24-hour recorder was dead. So what? We'll just erase that? Well, okay. What do you want me to do? Send certified letters? You're assuming I must be guilty of a crime because I don't stop somebody with a badge from doing this to me and my son? I don't have surveillance equipment. I don't have an army of snitches that are all scared to death they're going to jail for 5 years for dealing dope or whatever they've done, to answer my beck and call and go and do what I say whenever I want, or else I can put them in jail. Those are things that cops can do. Those are not things that I can do. That is not a fair fight. There is nothing that I can do to make that a fair fight. It's not going to matter what I do. The only way you can win that situation is if you can pay a private investigator and a lawyer to prove that's what's going on and to fight the battle legally, or else hire a gang of thugs and find the people and follow them around, find them where they live, catch them in their backyard or something, and, do what it takes to get them to tell you the truth. And tell them if they don't stop it, they're going to get a baseball bat through their skull, or just go ahead and put one through their skull. Those are the only two choices there. And the arrogance that I see, like in people like Sarah and Andrea, Roland, Eva, Shantae, Fred, Ronnie, and Pat, their visitors that threatened to kill me and Jake, we never knew any of them. Right? Never had anything to do with most of these snitches. That's the truth of it. Right? What is that? That is a cop who wants to be Tony Mendez, who loves the authority and the power and the emotional high that he or she gets out of doing something like that and controlling people and sitting back and telling them, you got to do this, this, and this, and I'm going to document this, this, and this, and I'm going to be a stage director now, and this is what I want you to do. To be so arrogant about it is to do stuff like that and then act like it's all okay. It's not. It's not legal either. It's as bad as I say it is, and nobody with a badge, whoever cared about what's right and wrong and true justice, would not have ever done anything like this to begin with, and would never try to justify it by saying, well, she's guilty of a crime, so she deserves it. No. If I was guilty of a crime, asshole, you'd be able to take that evidence that I was guilty of a crime to a judge and convict me in a courtroom. You wouldn't have to manufacture it. I've got your snitches on video today doing the same thing. 2.5 hours of it yesterday. Do we need to go through it all and all? There's no reason for these types of behaviors to be going on to begin with. None. All of it points to manufacturing a case. Because if I was guilty, you wouldn't have to do that, and you wouldn't be avoiding talking to me. You'd be thanking your lucky stars, right? Because you can't take statements that people make and use them against them in a court of law without giving them their Miranda rights, without giving them due process and the right to a lawyer, giving them the right to remain silent. Those are all things that people are entitled to by constitutional law. You don't get to change that just because you think that you're Tony Mendez in a delusional state of mind quarterbacking some showcase showdown where you just get to do shit like this. And saying, I should have asked. Well, I have. I chased your informants up the street that pulled this shit on me when me and my son were leaving the house. I've done that. I've asked them, and I've begged them. I've been nice. I've been assertive. I've yelled. I've done in any kind of way that it can be done, honey. It's not because I didn't ask. So don't try to pull that shit and say I'm pretending. You are pretending that I'm guilty of a crime that I've never committed. I don't do drugs. I don't drink. I'm not a pedophile. Boom. Sorry. You want to call me crazy? How about this? Don't do this anymore. You can sit back and call somebody crazy when you're doing this kind of shit to them. Outrageous, just reprehensibly offensive, and diabolically dishonest. Really? Really? Are you serious? And you think if you drive me and my son into a ditch that everybody's going to pat you on the back and say it's all okay? It's not. It never was, and it still isn't. And if I had a badge and I had to do something like this, I would go straight to that person and tell them that this is what they were the target of. I would resign my position. Or I would find the cop who thought they were going to do some shit like this, and I swear to God, I'd meet them in the locker room and I'd beat their ass. I would fucking beat their ass for it, for doing something like this. It's unbelievably outrageous. Because what else can you do to make them stop? They are using their badge to do something like that, and the chief of police is going to let them, and everybody's going to sit back and enjoy the game. Okay, why don't we just start hanging people from trees like people used to do to African Americans? Or better yet, we could be like Hitler and just march them out in the street and shoot them. Everybody likes the show, right? How about that? We could be like Idi Amin and decide that they're all traitors and cut all their genitals off. What's next, asshole? Really? You just working up to it? Or is this just your best imitation of, gee, you wish you were NSA and you were doing all the super spy things that the NSA does? Or you wish you were Tony Mendez? Or you wish you were Ethan Hunt? Or you wish that you were James Bond? Because I think that's probably what your real motive is. You are lazy. You don't want to work for a living. You can't stand the idea of having to actually face somebody that is guilty, because they will put a fucking baseball bat through your skull. Real drug dealers have teams of people they rely on to protect their territory. Oh, you can bet they play intimidation games. They do beat people up. They beat them up. They scare them. They threaten to kill them, and they do kill them. Right? It's business to them. There goes the red-headed look-alike right there. Leather jacket and blue jeans. Walking into Park Villa. And to see people like Sarah being so snide and cocky, intimidating me and enjoying it with great pleasure. What does that tell you? Watch the video.